I love that contrast. He's just like this giant mohawk, and all of a sudden he's just like this clean shaven guy with like nice glasses and like a nice like, oh, that's they do grow up. People do grow up and like change their personas. So
Oh,
I
I just say he sold out, but yeah.
he became way less cool. But hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. And I'm talking to John Nix and Justin Pearson about Don't Fall in Love with Yourself, which is coming to digital and on demand on August 20th, 2024. I'm going to talk to them right now. And while you're watching, if you can like, subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll shout a lot. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've got John Nix and Justin Pearson talking about Don't Fall in Love with Yourself, which released digitally and on demand on August 20th, 2024. It is a high energy documentary about Justin's career and life growing up in the San Diego punk scene, some of the more outlandish things that he has done in that area, and some of the amazing music and bands he has been a part of. I love this film. I thought it was fantastic. I loved like the music. I loved the energy. And I loved your candor, Justin. Like it was just fun hearing your stories and seeing like what your life was like. So I'm very excited to talk to you both. And thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. So first question, like John, what made you want to tell this story? Like, how did you, I assume you were at least following the San Diego punk scene, or maybe like came after the fact and just wanted to like link up. Like, what made you kind of want to put this on the screen?
Yeah, it was a little bit after the fact. One of my friends introduced me to the Locust, like just played the record for me, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it just went from there. And there's, as you can see in the movie, there's tons of crazy stories attached to the whole thing, and I kept hearing about all this stuff, and I just got deeper and deeper. I kept reading about all the other bands that were on 31G, and I kept finding other albums, and it just became like a big interest of mine. Justin and I eventually became friends, and then I asked him to do it after years of knowing him.
That's
And so yeah, so then it was just like off to the races with that.
that's awesome. And I love that, like they always say don't meet your heroes, but Justin, you seem like a really cool person to link up with. You seem like a fun person. I'm glad that you became friends and then you like, I don't know, pestered him enough, hassled him enough to get him to want to agree to do this documentary. So that's fantastic.
Which one of us hassle each other
I
though?
don't know. So I couldn't tell. Like I was curious, what was the reaction when you brought this up? Because like, Justin, you seem like you would love this because it's another outlet for your art. It's another way to get out there. But also, it seems like maybe kind of some of the don't care attitude might push against that. So what was it like when you first brought this up? Were you excited? Were you on board? Or was one of those like I don't really want to do that. I've got other projects. I'm always busy. What was it like?
I never not want to do something because I'm too busy. I'm always like, let's just add more shit. So that was cool. But when he asked me, I didn't really have a really good like view of what John was capable of. I was just like, yeah, whatever, sure. And like didn't really know what it was gonna be. And I think my only stipulations were like, I don't want it to be like this, and I don't want it to be like this. So do whatever the fuck you want, just make sure it's not like those two things. And then it wasn't like those two things. And so I was really grateful for that. But I'm always like kind of shocked when people want to engage in a project with me. Kind of that's like why I started my own record label, because I was like, no one wants to put out my shit. I'm gonna do it myself. So I wasn't also gonna start putting out films and stuff. So John came along and I was like, this seems like a great fit. And again, like I don't know if he would consider me like a hero. I think we were like just friends, and it seemed very appropriate and casual and organic, Um, so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's awesome. And no, I love that too. Like it's interesting though that you wouldn't, it feels like music videos and it would be like the next natural progression to your record label. So it's interesting that you hadn't like gotten into film yet, but I know you've been in film, you've been in like TV shows and things like that. So this feels like something that you would have, already dipped your toe into. So I'm glad that John came around to like, bring this project to fruition.
Of course. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, how did you go about playing this? I wasn't sure. Like, it felt like the anchor of this was maybe like, some candid conversations with Justin, and then maybe you like filled it in with, reports from his friends, videos, things like that. How did you go about like planning this whole thing?
Uh, so the first initial thing we did after I asked him, besides me like importing and organizing all of the archival footage, was we just flew him out and then shot a day-long interview with him where we just covered as much stuff as possible. And I just knew that like, okay, I have a skeleton for like the movie now. Like this is the backbone of everything, and like I can anchor anything else I want around it. At the time, like the Amanda Knox documentary had come out, that was like only one interview with her plus archival footage. And there's also that De Palma film that's great, that where De Palma just talks about all of his films, and it's just him talking to Noah Baumbach and then like cutting away to all like footage from his movies. Um, and like I just wanted to see, what could I get away with, and like what could I do within my own means. Like I didn't want to start a project that was like too expansive that I did not have the money to get done, and I didn't want to like stagnate halfway through. So it was really just kind of like slowly amassing everything. So once I had that initial interview with him, then we realized like what else we needed to fill the gaps, and so we just got interviews with other people as we could get them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great way to do it. Justin, was it like tough, cathartic to tell your story? It felt like it could be maybe part confessional, part therapy, part just like, fun reliving of your memories. Like, what was it like kind of like telling your story for a day and being like the center of attention for a day?
I mean, it was a lot of talking, but I guess like, there's like gradual little pieces like on tour and stuff where I'll meet someone and we'll talk and we'll hang out. But yeah, I mean, I kind of really want to just go hang out with John. I was like, yeah, you want to, you want to fucking hang out? Sure. Or like interview me for a thing. But like, I felt like I was like actually going there just to hang out and talk. And that was fun. Um, and then it became a thing. And it wasn't like all of a sudden like, boom, here's a film, check it out. It was like, there was like these little steps and eventually it became a thing. Like I watched it kind of grow with John as John created it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but the initial interviewing and stuff too was it was like a little, at times I was just like, damn, okay. Or like I would kind of see where it was heading and be like, oh man, we should talk about this other thing. And like luckily John and I are close enough where I kind of said that. I was like, hey, we should also talk about this. And then we do that, and it's cool. It was cool. It was easy and fun. It would have been different if I didn't know him, I think.
That's awesome. And also, I love that, like, it feels like your entire career you've just been kind of like making interesting art with your friends, and now this is another extension of that. You're just making a movie with your friend, and that's what it felt like the entire time.
Yeah, because I do feel like at ease when I know the person, where like if I don't, not that I'm guarded or something, because I'm not, but I don't know, like I don't want to offend them or I don't want to overextend myself or like say I don't do I want to know, like I want to feel comfortable in the sense where like I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So that's the one thing I try to avoid.
And you want it to be authentic, and
Of
John
course.
knows you, so it'll be like an authentic story of you. It must have been fun, like getting some of those email requests though from John being like, "Hey, do you have any like videos of that Christmas tree thing? Do you have any videos of your drummer vomiting? We need a couple of those for the movie." Like, where did all this footage come from? Was it from your collection, Justin? John, did you just like scour the internet to figure out like where some of this stuff was? How did you get all this amazing footage together?
Justin just sent me like his entire archive immediately. Once I asked, like I got a giant box and I was just like, oh, okay, this is like 6 months worth of work. So yeah, it was just like importing all of it and watching it. And because it's on VHS and mini DV tape, like you can't fast forward. It's not like transferring a file off like a SD card or something. So like I was just forced to sit there and like watch it. And it was great because I just like filled up a whole notebook with notes, with time codes. Like I knew like I was writing on dates so I could kind of get everything straight in my head. And so it was a great way to like really get granular with like all of the source material that I had to work with and know it like the back of my hand before I even had the chance to jump into it.
That's awesome. And one of the things that I appreciate, I mentioned your candor, Justin. I really liked how you framed this with like growing up and how rebellious you were and how you kind of recognize you were kind of an asshole to your parents, but and they were they did things to you, but you're like, well, I was kind of a jerk too. So was it tough to like relive those, especially some of like your, I don't know, more tragic parts of your past, or is that just part of your story at this point, and so it just kind of like has shaped to you to be the person you are now?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I learned, like I really learned when I was in early, like in high school, maybe when I started my first band, was like I could complain about all kinds of stuff, but like there's way worse shit going on to people around the planet, than I've dealt with. Not that I'm justifying like the people that abused me or the things that I had to put up with as a child, but like I just am like, whatever, it's fine. Like I'm not dead and it's not a big deal. So it wasn't like really too traumatic or a big deal to like kind of address a lot of that stuff. My main concern in retrospect was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have said that because I'm gonna upset my mom because she's like super sensitive about stuff. And as much as I think it doesn't really make my mom out to be a bad person, she tends to like kind of focus on all of the like you said, you said this thing and it's not true. And I'm like, it's fucking true, mom. Like that shit was grim, and I'm not like faulting her. I just think that she doesn't want to admit it. But yeah, I mean, there's things that I like neglected to talk about that would have been like really fucked. I could have talked about like my uncle molesting people and shit and going to prison, like, but like I didn't. It wasn't part of the story, but it is what it is. And I again, like I realize like some of my friends that I played in bands with and are in the film like went through way more gnarlier shit than I've ever done. So it's not like I want to be like, oh my God, pity me. My dad was killed. I mean, like, yeah, my fucking dad was killed and that shit sucked, but let's move on. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not a competition, but it does frame like why you would want to get out there so early, why you want to tour at 15, other than the fact that that's fucking awesome. That's really cool. But like you also just wanted to like get out and be out of the house and do whatever you want. I think that was like an important part of understanding young Justin and why you just like got so drawn into the punk scene. So
completely, and jokingly, but also seriously, like I'm glad that my parenting was lacking because it helped give me like the freedom that I needed to have, which a lot of kids wouldn't have got, regardless of how loving or abusive their family was. I don't think they would have got that freedom, and that was like I had that for sure. And I don't, yeah. My mom lucked out because I could have been done a bunch of stupid ass shit. I did some dumb shit, but like not, I didn't like do the main dumb shit. So I'm like, I didn't get pregnant, I didn't get on drugs, like fucking, it's not that big of a deal. Like, yeah, I went to jail or did these fucking illegal things or whatever, but like it wasn't as bad as it wasn't like lifelong, like I fucked my life up. So and she knows that too. But yeah, I think like my childhood was kind of jacked up, but not like completely jacked up.
yeah, exactly. And one of the things I also love, hearing from your friends in the video was awesome. And I also love seeing like the contrast between them as kids and then them now. Like when you see like Jose's picture and then like up pops like Jose, who could be like an artist in New York, or Jose, who could be like a CPA. I love that contrast. He's just like this giant mohawk, and all of a sudden he's just like this clean shaven guy with like nice glasses and like a nice, like, oh, that's they do grow up. People do grow up and like change their personas. So
Oh, I would just say he sold out, but yeah.
he became way less cool. But I assume that you were probably in contact with all these friends. Were there any of these people that were talking? Did you have to like remake contact with them because you'd fallen out of touch with them, or have you been in contact with all these people and they were just like happy to jump on and talk about you and like air their old grievances probably?
I mean, John was kind of the one that instigated all those conversations, but they were all friends that I still have always maintained friendships with. It wasn't like I haven't talked to that person in 20 years. They were like people that I still actively talk to and love and consider friends, and so it wasn't really that hard to do.
That's awesome. No, it's great. I love that you're still in contact with all of them, and they all speak so glowingly of you, which is just a testament to like how much you've influenced them and who you are as a person. So I know we have very limited time. I'm going to switch to, I call it the lightning round, just slightly questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. Feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended. Justin, I imagine your personal experiences map very closely to the movie, but we'll see what I can do. And let's get going. So, first question: what was your last show that you went to or performed at?
The last one I went to was Mac Sabbath. It's like a Black Sabbath McDonald's themed band. It was very, very good.
That's awesome. John, what about you?
Oh God, was like Ministry and Rob Zombie, weirdly.
Ooh, that's a great combination. I love it.
It was $20 on Groupon.
That's amazing. God, that's amazing. Uh, so much of this had injuries from your band, from the crowd, and from doing stupid stuff. Justin, what was your last show injury? What was the last time you injured yourself at a show?
It happens often, especially since I'm 49 now. But I don't know. Like usually, I'll just kind of get to a bed at the night and be like, "Oh shit, that hurts. What the fuck is that?" And I don't even know what happened. It's like usually things like my wrist or my ankles were hurt from like falling or jumping. Sometimes my throat hurts. Usually that's just from talking. But I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty resilient. I've had like a lot of things broken on my skull. Like it doesn't hurt that bad. pieces of skin chunked, cut off or whatever. But like, yeah, it's not. It's last injury would have been like, I don't know. Like, there's minor ones. The last major, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot.
Probably a
But
head injury since you forgot what it was. So,
yeah, again.
two things about that. One, a testament to your healthy lifestyle. You don't look 49. You look fantastic. So it must be
Thanks.
the rest and relaxation and healthy eating that you did growing up. And two, like you're 49, so some of those injuries could just be like getting up out of bed and like, oh, my back is hurt. Like that's not necessarily related to the show. Like I understand completely getting older now. So, what was the last time that either of you puked?
I puked from a migraine about a month ago.
All right.
Yeah.
Probably a few years ago when I think I got like food poisoning or so. I've puked like 6 times in my whole life. It's like I hate it every time it happens. But I've been like very lucky where like I'm just like an iron tank. Like I've never like thrown up when I was like drinking in my early 20s and stuff. Like it's just like my body just doesn't do it. It just forces it through.
Seriously, a charmed life that you have lived. What is the best show that you have been to? It could be a show that you performed at, or a show that you've seen.
You want to go first, John?
I mean, like I mean, it really should be like a top 10. I try to go to like, 100 something shows a year or whatever. But the best one in like recent memory is like Idols played Cleveland again, and like Beachland Ballroom on their new album is all about like them being in Cleveland, and we have a venue called Beachland Ballroom. It's a big like 2,500 person room or something like that. And then there's like a little tavern attached to it that does like 200 people. And the first time they came through, they were at the tavern, and then that next time it was like a sellout show where they could have probably gotten away with even doing two performances in the main room. And he had sort of like a weird personal breakdown with it where he's like, oh, we've like made it, like this is sustainable, like I can. And there's like a weird demarcator that like made it real that like they had a real career doing it. So when he came back, like they played Beachland Ballroom, and like you could hear like a pin drop in the room, and it was like this really weird connective moment with like us as like a city in that band. And they're also just amazing live in general. So like it was like this really intense kind of emotional night. So that one jumps to mind really quickly.
That's awesome.
I think seeing the Cramps when I was 12 might have been the thing. I got to meet them and it kind of changed a lot of stuff. But also I would say like seeing Antioch Arrow play when I was 17 was pretty out of hand. Like it was super violent, but like not like they were being violent. It just was like the most frightening explosion of music. So there's different things throughout the years that I think were awesome for different reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have to cut out right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for being on. I have like two more questions, John, if that's cool. But
Yeah.
all right. Cool.
Thank you
Awesome.
guys. I'll talk to you.
No,
All right.
thanks so much, Justin.
Yeah.
All right, so now that Justin's gone, we can talk about like all the horrible things that he did
Oh, yeah,
when he was
totally.
filming this. So yeah, this next question: do you have like a bucket list show that you want to that you want to see, like any band that you like really want to see before you die?
It's less like before I die and more like before they die. I think for some
Rob
artists.
Zombie comes to mind right there.
Yeah. I mean, like that was kind of like that, where like I'm not I like Rob Zombie. I think he's fun. I think anyone that like says like it's not fun music is like being a pain in the ass deliberately. But like Ministry is about to call it quits, and like I've just never seen them live. I've had plenty of opportunities, and I just like was broke at the time, or just like couldn't make schedules work. And so like I had never seen them, and it was a cheap way to see Ministry, and it was cool. So it's not necessarily not one of those bands. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of bands that like I wish would get back together for like one run or whatever if they were like into it and it wasn't just like a cynical money thing. But as far as like seeing like someone before I know I won't have the opportunity to see them is like Iggy Pop. Like I would love for Iggy Pop to do a not California show because like I live in Cleveland. And so like even if he played like hometown kind of stuff like Ann Arbor, Detroit, like I'd pay whatever to go see that. He's like a very important musician to me. And I just like, I think any time past 70 is borrowed time is like my mindset,
For sure.
So yeah, it's like guys like that,
Yeah, that makes sense. And Marilyn Manson just toured, and I was like, oh my God, like, A, Marilyn Manson's still alive, and B, like that's an amazing show to go to. You have to go. So I understand, like as you're getting older.
Yeah.
The artists are becoming more important to see.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, there's definitely like been like a die off since Bowie. Like he was kind of the harbinger for the whole thing. So,
this next question, I assume you have records, but how many records do you own?
about 2000, give or take.
That's a good collection. And do you have a favorite one, or a weirdest one if you want to like single out something that's strange in there?
Um, God, I don't know. It's strange. I don't know. I mean, I just found a copy of like the like bootleggy pressing that got done of like Death Grip's first album that I don't think I can ever like officially release because of all the samples that are on it. Like you could never justify the amount of like licensing that would go into it. I finally found a copy of that, so I filled in that gap. Um, yeah, I don't have like that much like bizarre stuff. I've just tried to be really well rounded with it and have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, for sure. Just wait out for the copyright. You got, what, like maybe 85 more years before you can just press it for free. Just hold on
Yeah,
to it. It'll be fine.
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it'll last. So the film is already out. It's released on August 20th, 2024. Came digitally and on demand. You were out promoting it, getting the word out, letting people know about this movie. But I don't know if you have other projects, other friends that you want to make documentaries about. But do you have any other projects on the horizon that people can look forward to after they see Don't Fall in Love with Yourself?
Yeah, I'm always busy. I'm always trying to do something. I co-own a publishing company called With an X, where we publish like indie novels, indie short story collections, photography books, everything like that. Like pretty much anything that I'm into, artists I respect that I want to like collaborate with. I always have something coming out from that. I just released Richard Chim's first novel. It's been out of print for like 12 years. And he's a wonderful novelist, and it's just been impossible to get that first book. So yeah, like I just worked with him, and now it's finally coming out. And it's a really really beautiful book called You Private Person.
That's
Uh,
that's awesome.
I'm finishing up an independent wrestling documentary that I did not direct. I'm just the editor on it. Like Adam Wilde, the director, is my boss at my job. So that's like most of my winter is going to be finalizing this wrestling film uh, and working on some like TV show stuff and like other things that I can't talk about. So yeah, there's always like a pipeline. If there's a panic that sets in if I don't have like another foot in another project once I'm finishing another. So
That's awesome. No, it's good to keep busy. Good to always be putting stuff out. Actually, when I said the name of the movie, that reminds me. I watched this very quickly because this interview kind of came out. But
mhm.
what is the origin of the title "Don't Fall in Love with Yourself"? Is that like a song from the bands, or is that something that was referenced in the film?
Yeah, it's a song by Justin's band Retox. It's just one of the songs off their second album, but I always liked the ring of it. I think it's cynical, and I think he's been very self-effacing. Like it's very much like even if the movie about me, like it's not about me, it's about me and my friends. It's about the scenes, about all these other bands. I didn't do any of this on my own, and so I think that it's sort of about his like rejection of like sainthood or whatever you want to call it. I also hate titling things. Like it's my least favorite part. I hate having like there are people that are just inherently good at making titles. Justin's always been great at that. Like I love so many of his song titles. I think that they're like hilarious and gross and catchy and they stick in your craw. Um and so yeah, when we were coming up to the moment where we had to start being like, well, what is this? Like what are we calling it? What not like Untitled Justin Pearson documentary we just kind of like started coming up with lists of songs or lines or whatever that could be good. And then it was just kind of a process of elimination until we all felt pretty good about that one.
Yeah, that's good. It is catchy. I do like that it kind of captures Justin's mentality. Like San Diego Punk might have been like an interesting one, but that also feels too generic. So this one at
Hmm.
least catches your attention. And also, what catches your attention is the poster that looks like it's like out of Metro 2033 of this
Yeah.
like night vision looking guy in a mask. I love that. I was like, I don't know what this movie's gonna be about, but I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. The poster's great. It's done with a photograph by a guy named Scott Smallin, who's this wonderful photographer who was part of that scene at that time. He just did a ton of great photography, and the overall design is done by a really great poster designer that goes by the name Midnight Marauder. And he's been doing really, really great work for years. And like he just kind of came up out of nowhere, started doing fake Criterion posters, and I was just like a really big fan of all of his graphic design. And so once I finally like had something to throw him, I was just like, I can't wait to like work with you on something because I've been such a fan of you for years. So
That's awesome. No, that's perfect. And if it's another like, indie kind of designer in this
mhm.
movie about like an underground punk scene, but you can check out Don't Fall in Love with Yourself. Release. It's already out. It's on digital on demand on August 20, 2024. This is John Nix, director, and we just had Justin Pearson, the star and subject. It is an interesting documentary. It's a fascinating documentary. It's a high energy documentary and it has some great music and some interesting stories. So thanks so much for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on, man.
That was John Nix and Justin Pearson talking about Don't Fall in Love with Yourself, which released digitally and on demand on August 20th, 2024. It is a fascinating documentary about Justin Pearson's life and career in the underground San Diego punk scene, some of the bands he's been in, some of his experiences he's had, and also some of the friends he's made along the way. It has a degree of candor that I love. It has some great music and just like an interesting, anchor character in Justin. So definitely check it out. It's available digitally and on demand, so you can watch it in the comfort of your own home. And if you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.